This is my cat, also a co-founder. Um, Originally, I was going to talk about security tokens and the expected tsunami, but after interacting with a lot of the attendees yesterday, I decided to change the plan. I mean, honestly, I am extremely excited about security tokens, what they mean, what they look like, what they could impact our future of the blockchain. But I think yesterday we had a lot of people coming by our booth, and a lot of them were students, young people, and they were asking me basic questions on like, what's Bitcoin, what's Ethereum, what's blockchain. Some of them more advanced, like what are decentralized exchanges. And the thing is, they were asking me these questions with such energy. It felt very inspiring. They gave me this desire, this hope of a new economy, and they were wondering like, how can we be a part of this? And it reminded me of myself a few years ago when I first entered blockchain, reading Bitcoin white paper, and it gave me a lot of inspiration. And at the same time, yesterday, interacting with all these students, it made me realize that what Adara is building has a real need in the market. And it's the first time that I had this like real moment of an epiphany. Now, could we move on to the next slide, please? So Adara is a utility and security token exchange, which is fueled by the community. Now, we wanted to build an exchange, and we looked at like what's the current market. We have utility tokens with all the pre-sales in 2017. The next thing is security tokens, decentralized exchanges. But we were wondering what's next. What's a few steps ahead because there's 100 exchanges coming, more on utility tokens. There's new ideas on trans-mining. There's security exchanges popping up left and right. What's the market going to be in 3 years when everyone will have liquidity, large user bases? What's next? And we realized next is actually the beginning. And the beginning is obviously blockchain technology. It's an amazing technology. But the success of blockchain is not because of the technology. The success of blockchain is a bunch of idiots like us who believed in the power and the potential. It's people here going to conferences, spending time partying, and still believing in what it could be. And I think that community and that loyalty, I think Superman said it earlier on the panel, like, we miss loyalty in the industry today. And I think we should harness that community. I had a conversation with Abi a few months ago, and he explained me the story on Paytm and how inspiring that like almost overnight adoption was. Essentially, for those who don't know, the government sort of came out with regulations and said all the largest banknotes will be banned in a really short notice. So it means that everyone who's having cash doesn't know what to do with it. They have to run to banks. And there's this one guy who created an app, cashless, on your phone, QR codes, and almost overnight, hundreds of thousands and millions of Indians converted. People who couldn't read, couldn't write, they just converted overnight into using something that they weren't using before. And that's adoption. And if we look a few years ahead, I hope as an exchange, we can drive that. But how do we do this? So we looked at how we could fuel that community, and we said, okay, you need to do two things. We need to provide access as an exchange, and we need to educate people. But yesterday, talking to a lot of the students, I was so inspired that I want to talk specifically on how the community sits in our exchange. At the core, we're a security and utility token exchange, built on a centralized and a decentralized layer. But specifically, the community sits around Adara Labs, Adara Academy, and the social trading platform. The goal is to educate, but more so to provide shortcuts. Give the community the power to gain instant access to knowledge, information, and that's mostly Adara Labs. Adara Labs is it's a content creation platform that gives people access to better data, better information on coins, charts, but also integrated algorithmic trading tools directly inside the exchange. People can access this, they can create their own content, And if they decide to do so, they can share this content with friends, private investor groups in the same way that we have Telegram syndicates, share some of the knowledge with their friends, or share the knowledge with the entire exchange. And we have an incentive, like a monthly incentive pool, to incentivize people to share content and build the community. And that takes it to the next step. That's Adara Academy. And that would be some kind of an online university that allows people to go into courses, learn about blockchain technology, learn about trading. I don't want to go too much in depth because I could talk for hours. But it could also, it allows, for example, influencers and people that have great knowledge to have a more direct interaction with their community, because previously this is a direct way of sharing your knowledge, but being incentivized for it. And that leads to the next thing, which is a social trading platform. This essentially gives people the option to directly interact with people that they trust, that they think have great knowledge, and it allows people to see the portfolio, follow some of the trades that they are doing, and decide if they want to copy these trades automatically. So the entire community, to sort of wrap it up, the community layer in our security and utility token exchange is to give shortcuts to trading knowledge, investment knowledge, and much more like the data and the academy part. So if you combine this and you take like the bullet points out of it, we want to put that community up front. And we realized if we want to bring that community forward and really drive adoption, we ultimately are investing in the time of our community. We're sitting here, some of the people are in a conference, they're not trading Bitcoin right now. The people that are at home, they're not coming to a conference because they prefer to trade. That's why we want to invest in the time of the community. We have one last video that really grasps what we're trying to do. Thank you so much for listening.